Feeling.
That voice crack.
Relax.
I know, the voice crack. That's actually the first thing I'm gonna say. Is that so? You know, I've been sick like all week.
Dude, me too.
Yeah, a lot of people have. So you know how your teachers, they hit you with that, like, I'm not gonna talk over you. Like, I literally can't talk over you. So like, if you have any like questions or any comments you want to add, like, please save them for the end, and I'd love to hear them. But like, if you say it now, like, I literally will not be able to talk over you. But yeah, this week we are going into our new series that we've been talking about for a minute. It's in that bucket over there by Angelica's head, called "What the Bible Says About Blank." So we've been taking submissions the past few weeks. We're still accepting submissions. So if you want to fill out a sticky note of what you'd like to see us talk about, go ahead, still drop it in the bucket. We'd love to hear it, and we'll take it into consideration. And if it's really cool, or if a lot of people ask for it, then we will definitely do it. So go ahead, fill those out. There's just sticky notes over there at the end of service. Whenever something comes to mind, go ahead and put it in there. In terms of this week, though, we're starting that series, and we put it on our Instagram what we're talking about. Does anyone know? What are we talking about today?
Faithfulness.
I heard whispers.
It's not faithfulness.
Faith! We're talking about faith this week. There was a lot of requests for that. And we were like, heck yeah, we're going to do it. If so many people are asking for it, heck yeah, we're going to give you what you want. So let's talk about faith a little bit. And you know what? The last time I talked about faith was cool or whatever. But something that happened at the very end was one of our adult leaders. She's sitting right there. She's cool. She afterwards came up to me and was like, you know, like, that was really cool and stuff, but like, there's this one verse in Hebrews 11, and it's da-da-da-da. And like, yeah, you should use that next time. And I was like, yeah, that's so good. Like, Hebrews 11, that's so good. Like, I love that. And so I really liked that verse. And it was really cool because then like a month later in my own personal reading, I actually like came about the whole chapter. And I read the whole chapter and I was like, dude, Hebrews 11, this is crazy. This is a dope little chapter. And so we're going to talk about it a little bit. A thing I forgot to do. Byron, you want to pass out Bibles? They're over there.
I'm not going to throw my ear to them.
Hey, I only do that sometimes.
Gotta respect the word of God.
I mean, yeah.
To objects as if they're people.
Yeah, but like, it's fun to throw at people.
That's one of the most favorite.
Talk about Bible hitting you differently.
Right.
I'll be here all day.
Do you see how gentle the way he's distributing these?
Yeah, I know. I should take notes. I believe Hebrews 11, I think it's page 834, if I remember from the past services. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 834, Hebrews 11? I have a different Bible.
Anybody need any? No?
I'll give you mine. You can have mine. No, she's not finished. 834, Hebrews 11, is that facts? It was 8 something. 834. Is that it?
Wait,
I'll figure it out. 8 something. It is 834. Yeah, page 834. So we're going to be reading out of Hebrews 11 and James 2. And the cool thing is that James 2 is on the very next page. So we're just going to be flipping back and forth a little bit, reading through those two, of Hebrews 11 and James 2. So let's start with Hebrews 11. Let's talk about it a little bit. So I love it because the very first verse tells you what faith is. There's no going around it. There's no like trying to figure it out. They've got to solve a mystery. Like it straight up says right there. It says faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Straight up. So what is faith? It's an overwhelming, borderline cocky knowledge that God is real and working. And the reason I use those words very carefully, specifically the word intelligence or knowledge, that it's a knowledge that God is working, is because a lot of times people would use the word belief there. But the problem with the word belief to me is that it's kind of like in the air, like believe, like, oh, I believe so-and-so. Like there's still that little bit of like, I'm not 100% sure. But the word knowledge there is key because it's it's a fact that God is working and moving. That's what faith looks like. And the words confidence and assurance are very strong words. They're not maybe and I don't know, but it's confident and assured that God is working in whatever your situation is in life, that God is working. And I say borderline cocky just because that's my MO, and I need to work on my pride. But yeah, it's acknowledging the fact that God is working. And the rest of this chapter, the reason I think it's so cool is that a lot of Bible thumpers like to call it the Faith Hall of Fame. So it has a lot of cool stuff about how people from earlier in Scripture, whether it be in the Old Testament, the Torah, or even in the Gospels, talk about how they had faith. So verse 4, by faith Abel offered to Cain a more acceptable sacrifice. Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he was commended as righteous. Or even verse 7, by faith Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir to the righteousness that comes by faith. That's intense. Or verse 8, by faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance, and he went out not knowing where he was going. I have a side note too. The thing about Abraham that I think is interesting, that they have him in this hall of fame of people of great faith. I think Abraham being in it kind of says a lot, because really Abraham kind of sucked for a lot of different reasons. Yeah, he's considered the father of nations, but like he kind of neglected one of his sons and like had a bunch of baby mamas and didn't treat them very well. And he kind of like, God told him and his wife, like, yo, you might be 90, but y'all are going to have a kid. And God was like, yeah, I. Or Abraham was like, yeah, I. That's not going to happen. And they're like, we're too old. That's not going to happen. But really, Abraham wasn't this big old holy dude. Like, he had a lot promised to him, and he made a lot happen. But he wasn't really perfect. So really what I'm trying to get at is that there's nothing that disqualifies you to having faith. There's nothing that disqualifies you to start having faith or to continue to have it. There's nothing you can do that will overall just disqualify you to be able to have that. Because Abraham still had faith. He had great faith, but he kind of sucked. But I'm not saying be a sucky person. That's not at all what I'm saying. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a couple minutes. Or even verse 9, which I believe is about Noah. Oh wait, no, that's still Abraham. By faith he went to live in the land of promise as in a foreign land. Verse 11. By faith, Sarah herself received power to conceive, even when she was past the age. She was old, but because of faith, she was able to still have a kid. And I want to go back to verse 7, which is the one about Noah. By faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir to the righteousness that comes by faith. This is cool because Noah was crazy. So basically with him having great faith, he was borderline a lunatic. He was crazy. Because really at the time, there was like, so basically God said, Noah, hey, there's going to be this flood. Go ahead, build this ark. I need you to build this big old boat. I need you to take a bunch of animals in it, put your family in it, and like the world's going to be like washed, but like I got you. Like you need to do this real quick. And Noah's like, all right, let's do it. So he does exactly that. He builds this boat, makes it happen. Sure enough, the flood comes. And he fulfilled what God wanted him to do. And the reason this is significant in terms of faith is because it would have been one thing, like it's really awesome that he did that. But it would have been a way worse, like we wouldn't be talking about it, if say God told him this. And was like, hey, yo, I need you to do this. This flood is coming. And then Noah was like, wow, okay, cool. And then didn't build the ark. That would kind of be anticlimactic. Like, then the flood comes and he talks to his homies. He's like, dude, didn't I say there was going to be this flood? Like, I knew it was coming. But, like, he didn't prepare for it. And then the flood comes and washes it away and they're drowning. Like, no, the reason it worked is because he did something about it. He acted upon it. I knew it. Look at us, we drowned. No, but you need the action that comes with it. So that's why we're talking about James 2 as well. So go ahead, flip your page to James 2. For me, it's a couple pages. James 2, verse, I believe, 14? Yeah. So James 2, 14 through 17. Who has it and wants to read it for me? Go ahead, 14 through 17.
What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds, can such faith have them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead.
Or like in mine, it says, faith without works is dead. Faith without the action is dead. It's not even real faith. It's just a belief. It's just a talk. So really, and I love that example too. So say there's this homeless guy. He's starving. He's hungry. He's cold. And it's like you go up to him and you're like, "Hey, be blessed." Like, what? I'm still cold. I'm still hungry. Like, you didn't help me. Yeah, I'm blessed, but like, I'm still, like, my needs aren't really solved. But instead, James is saying here that it'd be a lot better if you were to give him what he needs and also say be blessed, because then you're actually being blessed because you're receiving the thing you need. So that's what he's saying, is that you need the works as well, and that in receiving it, you're being blessed. So to put your actions where your mouth is. Because faith without the action is just words. And I love the next one. James is a little smart aleck. He says, "But someone's going to say, 'You have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works.'" So basically he's saying, I'm going to talk the talk and I'm going to walk the walk. I'm going to go tell him to be blessed and I'm going to give him what he needs. I'm going to be able to proclaim that I'm a follower of Christ, but I'm also going to do what I need to do in accordance to show that I am. I'm going to do both. I'm going to have that balance that I need. I'm going to walk the walk and I'm going to talk the talk. So you can't just have the faith of and I know everyone has probably in your families either that aunt or uncle, or maybe it's a friend who has in their Instagram bio that they love Jesus, they got John 3:16 in their bio, but then you see their story and they're not acting like a believer and they're just maybe a rude person. Everyone knows that person too. And that's kind of a drastic example, but it also proves it, that you don't really have true faith if you don't let it seep into your actions as well. So it's one thing to believe it and to say it, but it's another to really go about and do it. That's really when you have faith, when you say it and you believe it, but you also do it. Because if you truly believe it, you'll act on it. So going back to Hebrews 11, let's flip back again. So Hebrews 11, 32. Read to the next page. So verse 32 through 35. "And what more shall I say? For time would tell me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight, women even received their dead by resurrection." It's intense. And the other thing I love is that if you were to follow our Instagram page, is that I posted the sticky notes that were submitted that all said faith. But I put one more in there that didn't say faith. There was one more in there that said hope. And the reason I put that one in is because faith and hope can come hand in hand. And here's your proof right here. Is that through the faith, you're also going to be able to overcome the things you'll never know you could even overcome. You'll be able to defeat the lions, to defeat the sword, to get through those toughest battles by having this faith as well. And I get it. Maybe you're, we don't have lions trying to eat me, and I don't deal with swords. That's not really relevant to today. But really, God is still trying to create new testimonies, new stories, new acts of faith based on everyone in this room. If you really enact it and go about and walk about it and do what He has in store for you. He's looking to do new, miraculous things through each and every one of us. But to continue on right after that, it says, "Some were tortured, refusing to accept release so that they might rise again to a better life. Others suffered mocking and flogging, even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were killed with the sword, they went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute, afflicted, and mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy, wandering about in deserts and mountains, and in dens and caves of the earth." Talk about the complete opposite of that hope I was just talking about. It won't be easy in having this faith. It's not going to be all fun and games, all rainbows and ponies and flowers. There's going to be the persecution that comes with it. And we're blessed to live in America, where we don't even face really crimes for being a Christian. But really in most other parts of the world, just for owning one of these, you can get either thrown in prison, killed, worse, your family could also be killed, just for even thinking about being a believer. But for us, we face our own kinds of persecution here in America, whether it be being laughed at for being different, whether it be just being looked down on, treated differently. People won't want to maybe hang out with you. Maybe you'll have to cut off a few friends or people in your life who you know are positive influences. Like, yeah, that's all also part of it. So it's not all fun and games. I'm not only going to preach to you that part 4 of all the good things. I'm going to tell you both ends. That comes with it too. There's also bad things. I just this week was at work. One of my coworkers prayed for me because I was sick. And then right after, there were 2 other coworkers who were like making fun of him for praying for me. Like, to me. I was like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But there's that comes with it. There's also going to be the doubt because people don't understand. Which is why we have to be able to do our actions as well that go in accordance with it so that we can even show love to them. Because they're missing out. It won't be easy. So let's go back to James again. We're flipping back and forth all over the place. James 2:19. I think this is awesome. James is a boss. He says, you believe that God is one? Cool. You do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. Even they know. So he's basically saying, okay, you think God is real? Like, that's great. Even the demons do. Like, that's nothing special. Like, I mean, you can ask anybody off the street, like, hey, you think God's real? Like, a lot of people would be like, I mean, like, yes. Like, there's probably a God somewhere. Like, yeah, probably. A lot of people would say that. So just having yeah, I think God's real. Like, that's not really special. Like, that's not getting anywhere. Like, even the demons believe that. That's why they think they got to do their thing. That's why they think they got to bring the evil and take down God, which makes no sense if you really think about it. But that's their belief. But even they think God is real. Like, by having a belief of God, like, you're not special. You're just like everybody else. But really, it's when you put your actions in accordance with that belief is when you reach special.